Welcome back to our show, Higher Ground Financial Group. I am Daniel Razvi. I am a tax attorney.
And I'm Imran Razvi, his father. We work together as a father-son team of the Higher Ground Financial Group. We love working together.
And our website, if you want to go and talk to us, schedule a free video call with our firm, it's riskfeestaxes.com. Those are the three biggest killers in retirement. Riskfeestaxes.com.
Before we go further, real quick, you just pointed out, you can make an appointment. It is a video call. That means you don't have to waste any time or money in gas or driving here or anything like that. And people ask us often, is it always going to be video call? Yes. It's always online. It's always video call. It's actually beneficial for you. And once they've started working with us, they've realized it really is beneficial. Many of our clients have retired in Portugal and Italy and Costa Rica and India, China, and they can still contact us because, wherever the internet is, we're there. And one of the advantages with us specifically is you don't have to wait 3 weeks to get on our calendar. You can go to our website, HGFG.com or riskfeestaxes.com, and you can click and see our calendar and get on the calendar many times in the same day, which is really unheard of in this industry because most of our clients say, well, if I want to talk to my broker, I call the office, they give me an appointment 3 weeks from now. Or if I call my attorney, it might be a month from now. Or if I call my CPA, it's definitely not going to be during tax season. Well, you know what? With us, you make that appointment the very same day. It's very important. So yes, virtual meetings, you may not enjoy as much, but you'll start enjoying them a lot better because you can access information immediately, which is very good.
Yes. And that website again is riskfeestaxes.com. And the reason we have that website, that specific web address, is because those are the three biggest killers in retirement. And many of you listening to this program, you're very concerned about one of those things. Usually is taxes.
Yeah.
Because taxes is the one thing that everybody hates paying taxes. Nobody likes paying taxes. And whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, I can tell you, you probably don't like what the government's doing with your money. Almost nobody enjoys what the government spends their money on.
I disagree on what they're spending it on, but yes. They still don't like it.
You might be concerned about different things than your neighbor's concerned about, but all of us hate paying taxes. So that's always on the forefront of our mind, especially the wealthier people that have some money saved and you worked hard, you saved money all your life, and now you're realizing you got to pay so much in taxes, and it's even worse now because you deferred. So taxes is really, really important. But it's very important to not just focus on one thing to the exclusion of the other two.
So really, you got to focus on not losing money. One of the ways you lose money is taxes, right? There's ways to avoid or minimize your tax burden, and you can make it less.
Is that the only way you can lose money?
No, there's two other ways. There's fees and there's risk. And those two things also take away your money.
And even with risks, there's a lot of risks, right? There's the risk of running out of money. There's the risk of the market crashing early on, a sequence of returns risk.
Inflation risk.
Risk of inflation. So all of those things are risks, and all of those things cause you to lose money. We don't want our clients to lose money. There's a very famous investor in this country who just retired, and his name is Warren Buffett. And his number one rule for investing is don't lose money. Never lose money.
And if you weren't sure about rule number one, his rule number two is this. Never, ever forget rule number one.
And so he understands. Don't lose money. That's the primary goal. So we need to be philosophically aligned if we're going to be able to help you. And most of our clients, just as a aside, most of our clients, when they work with us, they are able to retire 3 years to 5 years sooner than they thought was possible. They retire with at least 50% more income in most cases. And they retire having saved more than $1 million in taxes by working with us, saving often hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees. All of those things we can do. And in your situation, I'd love to be able to do it for you. Every situation is different. So go to our website and contact us, riskfeestaxes.com. But it only works, the system only works if we're protecting you from all types of loss and not just one type of loss. It's like, saying, I'm going to build a house and I'm going to put a roof on, but I'm only putting a roof on the bedroom. Not on the bathroom, not on the kitchen, not on the living room, but my bedroom's got a roof on it. It's like, okay, great. But when the rainstorm comes, I mean, I'm glad your bed and your clothes and your jewelry's okay, but what about the TV? What about the books in the library? You need to have a plan to protect all of your assets and not just from one type of thing. You can harden your house against lightning strikes, so it doesn't have any lightning strikes, but it's got no roof on it, or it's got no fire alarms, right? We need to have all of your financial life protected, and the way you do that is reduce and eliminate all three of those things: risk, fees, and taxes. And you might be thinking, "Oh, but I don't mind market risk. That's not such a big deal. It's okay with me." Well,
talk to people that retired in 2000 and 2008. They had a tough time because they just lost 50 or 60% of their entire assets, and they retired, and many of them ended up going back to work. It was not a pretty sight. So yes, you think that now because we had double-digit returns for the last 3 years, right? But the problem is there's always going to be a market fall. Always there will be. About every 5 or 6 years, you're going to have a market downturn. And so if you're going to retire for 20, 25 years, you're going to have several of those. We don't know when they're going to be, but they're going to be there. You need to protect yourself against that. If you don't protect yourself, we're not philosophically aligned. And we don't want to help you protect yourself on taxes and then end up losing a bunch of money and still be broke.
Right. And we've had people that reached out to us before and said, hey, you know what? I only want to talk about taxes. I don't want to talk about anything else. And we've said, you know what? We'll have a conversation. We'll talk to anybody for 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
We're not going to turn anybody away from talking to us. But in order for us to actually help you, we need to be on the same page that you cannot only protect from taxes. You have to protect. It's like those old, I say old because I've never driven one, stick shift cars.
Right. You have 3 pedals. All 3 pedals got to be used, because if you don't have all 3 pedals, you can't really drive that car.
You need the clutch and the brake and the gas. Well, I want to build a car that only has a gas pedal, just a gas pedal, nothing else. Like, well, the problem is
when you crash, you're going to crash bad.
Really, really bad.
And when you're going straight and fine, you're going great.
And if you're thinking, well, the market's been really great for me, my advisor's done really well. First of all, check what your advisor's done compared to the actual S&P over the last 10 years. If you've done well, it's been about the same. It's not really been better.
If you don't know how to check that, you just Google what the S&P returns are, but put the date in from one date to the next date. You can see exactly what the S&P 500 does and compare it to what your advisor's done. And you know what? There's S&P ETF, exchange traded funds, that are very, very low fees, less than 0.1%, like 0.7%, right?
Yep. It's 0.07, 0.04.
Right. So those are really low fees. And if your advisor's done better than that, then possibly your advisor got lucky, or he's just that good.
But most people have not. But even if you have, okay, as somebody said to me the other day, hey, my money went up like 15% in the last year or so. I said, well, great. You would have had to really try hard to lose money to not grow over the last year and really the last decade. And it's been really, really good. But that's kind of like saying, well, I've been driving on an interstate highway through Kansas, where if you know anything about Kansas, it's a straight, flat line that, you can go a couple hundred miles sometimes before you have a bend in the road. You say, look, I've been driving for the last few hours through Kansas at 100 miles an hour, and I had the gas on the floor the entire time. I haven't needed the brakes. I haven't even needed the steering wheel yet. So I'm just thinking of having the steering wheel removed. No. As soon as there comes any bend in that road, you're going to need not just the steering wheel, but also the brakes. You need to have levers you can pull to protect yourself from market loss. That's super important. And we can give you some education. If you meet with us, we can show you the numbers on why that is, and why that having market risk doesn't always even give you a better long-term result. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't even always do that. What it's designed to do, it doesn't even do that well half the time. So what do you think is going to happen when you're trying to use it for something it really was never designed to do? Because market risk was never designed for withdrawals and retirement.
Yeah,
pensions and guaranteed interest types of things. That's what was always designed for retirement income. But market risk was never designed for that.
Yeah, we had a client a few years ago that we did tax planning for. We showed him how much he should convert to Roth and everything else. He said, "Yeah, that sounds really good. I'm really not going to use your services. I'm just going to go to my advisor. I've had my same advisor for 20 years. And I'll convert to Roth because it makes sense. I'll do that. And so I don't really need your tax attorney. You've given me all the advice." And we did that. We gave it to him. And he went a year later, or actually maybe a year and a half later, he came back and he was extremely upset. He said, "I should have went with you. My advisor, you're right. All he talks about is stock market growth. He does not understand the conversions. He does not understand how much tax is going to happen or legacy.
Or income or legacy."
Right? And unfortunately, he ended up losing several $100,000 to a market downturn after he'd already paid taxes, which really made him upset. So there's a strategy to doing this correctly and handling all the different things that can go wrong. Any plan can work well in a great market.
Yes.
But your plan is got to work in a bad market because we know that they're going to have downturns in the future. We just don't know when.
That's a very important point. So I want to highlight that again. What you just said is every plan will work if the market keeps going up. And that's true, right? On that highway in Kansas, doesn't matter what car you have, if the brakes don't work, it's still going to go fine. You will get through Kansas just fine. Every plan works when the road is straight, when there's no curbs, there's no bumps, there's no bad weather. Every plan works during that time, but you need a plan that also works in the bad times, because you've been around. If you're listening to this program, you've been around long enough to know that there are good times and bad times. We don't know when the bad times will happen. It could be tomorrow. It could be in a few months. It could be in a year or two. But there will be a bad year coming.
And if you're 30 or 40 years old, bad years, bad times don't affect you nearly as much. It's dollar cost averaging. You're buying it on sale. But when you retire, the whole landscape changes. You can't afford to have those problems in retirement because you can't decide at 73 to go back to work. Okay? You can't decide to do that. So it's a different stage in investing. Your stage prior to retirement, really up to 5 years before retirement, is a different stage, and market downturns are okay. But once you are within 5 years of retirement or after retirement, you can't have that same kind of mistake. That kind of mistake can cause you heartache that you can never recover from. Because you could lose money and it may take too long for that money to recover and you're still spending money. It just will not work for you. So you got to look at all things: risk, fees, taxes. So again, our website is riskfeestaxes.com. You got to check us out, get the information. And you know what? You can do whatever you want with the information, but at least have the information, understand how it works. And we'll tell you, if you're not philosophically inclined to get rid of all risk, fees, and taxes at the same time, you may not be able to survive the oncoming crash that's predicted to happen. In fact, right now, the institutional investors are net sellers. That means retail investors are buying up all the high-priced stocks, and the institutional investors are getting out. Just be aware of that.
So go to our website, riskfeestaxes.com, talk to a tax attorney, and get a handle on how to minimize those things in retirement. Talk to you soon.